So I'll never forget having that conversation with my mom, like, I don't think I can do this no more. She's still in the mindset of like, you're supposed to make it to the NBA after after you leave Slovakia.
Mama's waiting for that house.
And just, had to come to that realization that like, this isn't your calling forever. Like this was a vehicle that you use and you maximize it to the best of your abilities. How do I stand out? And I'm like, nobody wants to make sure all the J hooks are right. Nobody wants to make sure all the safety bars. Nobody wants to do those things. So what if I do them? And it was the best thing I probably have ever done at that age. So I try to take the people out of stagnation and put them into the reinvention cycle. And we do that by obviously using, physical and nutrition and things like that, just to change the way you look at yourself and the way you feel about yourself to get you into that reinvention cycle. Reached my biggest dream in the world, man. Like, I'm an NBA trainer. This dude was an all-star at the time. Like, this is all I ever dreamed of. This is kind of why I go into helping people reinvent themselves, because sometimes you can get your biggest dream, man, and it's not what you've expected. I strive so hard to climb this ladder, and you didn't even understand what was at the top of the ladder, but you really didn't have a scope of what you was truly signing up for. Your biggest dream, it's not going to do it for you. It's not. What fulfills people at the end of the day is giving back to other people and allowing to see them grow.
Appreciate you doing this, man.
Appreciate you having me.
I'm gonna just dive in, kind of let the people know a little bit about you. If I say anything that's not true, you can just be like, that's not true. But you were a former Division I basketball player. You look like you were a former football player, but we won't go there. Looking swole over there. At the University of North Florida. Where's that?
Jacksonville.
Oh, okay. And after college, you played professionally in Finland and Slovakia for a short time. You weren't making life-changing money, so you came back home, eventually leading to depression, as you didn't know who you were anymore and felt stuck in the mindset of, I'm an athlete, but now I'm not, so who am I? And I can relate to that, so we'll definitely dive into that. Life after being an athlete started differently than you expected. You had to get a job and ended up working at Home Depot, where you were as miserable as ever, I can only imagine. In addition to that, your father served a life sentence in prison. Due to all this, you decided you had to flip the switch mentally. You've constantly had to reinvent yourself since then. You've reinvented yourself as an NBA strength coach, working with Kyle Lowry, Miami Heat for the last 8 years. You've also worked in the weight room and on the court with players like Sadiq Bey, Washington Wizards, Josh Green, Charlotte Hornets, Kyle O'Quinn, retired NBA vet of 10 years, Adrian Griffin, retired Atlanta Hawk. And I mean, the list goes on and on. You've trained a lot of people. So now you're transitioning into using everything you've learned over the last 8 years to understand what makes these people elite. You've created a formula that is core of your coaching program, helping people break out the cycle of stagnation and reinvent themselves in 100 days. Does that kind of sum it up? All right. If I read that, I would be pretty impressed. So it's very impressive.
Appreciate that.
So let's just dive into it. Let's take me back to, because I can truly, truly relate to this. And I can tell you I was in that exact same spot, because like from the time literally I could throw a football before I could walk. So from the time I was born, you're going to be a football player, and then you end up being a football player, and then all of a sudden you have a career-ending injury, and it's like, it's over. And so the years and years and years of doing it, and then who am I? So I guess take us back to that moment of just when you knew that you weren't going to play basketball anymore, and how that felt, and just that mindset and that dynamic that you had to go through.
I think the biggest thing is, like you said, it becomes your identity. Like, that's who you are, like from a young kid till you get to high school, like you're this high school star, you go play Division I, everybody, athlete, that's all you know. And I remember when my college career ended, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go play pro. So I go to Finland and Slovakia, and I'm realizing like, I'm making like $3,000 a month, and we're practicing like 3 times a day, and like I'm on a 6-hour time difference for my family. Like, it's just not adding up for me, you know? And I know a lot of people love the game that much, but I'm also a realist in terms of what I want to do in life. Does this make sense? So I'll never forget having that conversation with my mom. Like, I don't think I can do this no more. And she's still in the mindset of like, you're supposed to make it to the NBA after you leave Slovakia.
Mama's waiting for that house.
Yeah, like, that's not how it works. We're gonna get the house a different way, but not this way. And just had to come to that realization that like, this isn't your calling forever. Like, this was a vehicle that you use and you maximize it to the best of your abilities. Now it's time to find something else. So I remember coming home. It's like, yo, it's time to get a job. And I'm like, a job, man.
Right. Like, a real job.
and college athletics has changed to rewind a little bit, but man, when you're an athlete and you're in college, man, it's like everything is swept under the rug. Like, it's just, they treat you, they coddle you, and it ends up hurting athletes more than anything. They coddle you for that moment. And then when you get to the real world, you have no idea how to even present a resume to somebody.
Did you take
crazy.
Organic gardening?
No, I didn't take organic gardening.
That would be like, you know what I'm talking about? Like, like they would give you these schedules, like these classes. Like, I literally took organic gardening.
Come on, man.
Like, come on. Like, but you got a guaranteed A, so it helped you. You know what I mean? So and then you had the designated tutor that basically did everything for you, like everything. So yeah,
study hall was chill. All right, so somebody doesn't get in trouble, but you know what I'm saying. But so it was kind of, I went through that situation, and I remember when I graduated and I started going to get jobs, I'm thinking like, I graduated from college, like, yeah, like I should be fine.
Right.
It's like everybody graduates from college. Like, you don't understand that. You think that you're just, on some different level because you don't understand, like, a lot of people do that. Like, that's the common thing. And a lot of people who don't graduate from college are still successful people.
Right.
So you're battling with them. So I started to kind of understand that. So long story short, I ended up getting a job at Home Depot because I had to get a job. So come home, play video games all day, go work at Home Depot. And I'm like, yo, what am I doing? And this is the local Home Depot of where I went to high school at. My mom still lives in the same place. Hoodie on. No, I don't want nobody to see me.
Right.
People would start to see me like, Trav, I thought you was in Europe. I'm like, oh yeah, like, injury. I would just make stuff up. Truthfully, I was just like, I'm not about to keep doing this over here when I could just get life started. So kind of went through that transition at Home Depot. Ended up going to grad school and kind of figuring it out along the way. It's kind of how I kind of got the momentum.
And what'd you major in grad school?
It's called, you had to major in sports leadership. It was VCU,
all right.
Virginia Commonwealth University. But to be a GA, you had to have that that major.
To be a graduate
Exactly,
assistant.
exactly. So we were all in the same classes and make sure everybody can go to practice and travel. So, but amongst all that, it was kind of like one of those things where it was like, yo, you better figure out who you are. And it's a power. I don't think it gets enough attention on how serious that is. Like, obviously, like
right.
And you played at Auburn, so like, I can't understand the magnitude of that. I played at a small Division I. Like, it's like, this is my world. The NFL is the next step. Like, that's the only thing possible.
And you see also like your peers, like everybody before you they're doing the 3 years and then they're going to the NFL. It's like you see it, and then also to your point, I mean, you're playing in front of 100,000 people. Like, and then wherever you go, people are treating you different, and it's just it's different. And there's this like almost dopamine rush that you have, like being a college athlete and being in the spotlight, and like you said, coming from being a star high school player. Like, also too, that not everybody's a star.
For sure.
Like, not everybody comes out of high school, sought after and scholarships and stuff like that. So it's you really don't know unless you've lived it. And then when it comes to a halt, you start to like, well, for me, I mean, when it came to a halt, I started to like go the wrong direction, you in drugs and partying and stuff like that. I mean, it literally, I kid you not, it lasted 3 months. Like, it wasn't some binge or anything.
At least you claim, you're honest about it.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. But I did try it, but it definitely wasn't for me. And then you start, and I was going to ask you this, like for me, I got really into lifting weights and trying to be like, just, I mean, if I'm being honest, trying to be the sexiest man alive, it was more about like, as I was walking around at 240 with a 22-inch neck. So I was like, well, what happens if I actually lean up and try to look good? What could that look like? So I got really into that. And then I really dove into kinesiology, exercise science, and health promotions because I broke my back. So I was like, how can I help other people not break their backs?
For sure.
And so when did you know that like you wanted to be a strength coach? Like, when did that happen?
So it kind of happened organically, kind of the way you said it. I remember like when I would leave Home Depot and I'd just go lift. Like I lifted in college, but I would go to the gym and it was like when I walked in that gym, I'm like, none of that depression matters for this hour. So I started taking it extremely serious. I'm like, I don't know what it is about that place. When I was in school, it wasn't like, oh yeah, let's go lift weights. Like I didn't really like the guy. You know how it is. Like the strength coach, like, yo, here comes this dude.
Yeah.
Like I never thought I would be in that position, but I just remember like once it was over and I would leave work and I'd go to a gym. I'd never forget, it was called Fitness 19, man. Some, you know, the little outlet ones where like you don't know how they're hanging on by a thread. Like,
Right.
you could literally just walk by if you want to. That place just became like a safe haven for me. And I'm like, there's something special about this. I don't know what it is, but there's something special about this. And then when I became a GA, when I went to grad school, that's when I started working. I got like a CSCS and I started working with the basketball team.
Okay.
And that's kind of how it, you know.
Because I was interested about the depression thing because, like, I had a little bit of that, but it was the working out and the becoming, like, getting better in that and becoming, like, this elite, like, conditioned athlete, even though I had nowhere to, like, really channel it. But it still helped my mental, my mind. So
Exactly.
was that what kind of saved you?
For sure.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously we'll talk about that, but that's why, like, I've took that space and brought and pushed it out to the world, because a lot of people don't understand what it will do for them in their life in general.
Right.
And that's why, you know, same way, it's a vehicle. It's a vehicle to get you to the place you're trying to get to. And my message to people is like, if you get in the best shape you've ever gotten, if you locked in on your nutrition, if you really took the discipline, you have to say no to things that you know you shouldn't be doing if you want to get to where you're going, your life will change, literally. But it seems so simple that nobody wants to believe it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's simple and then it's delayed. So I call it the instant gratification versus delayed gratification. And we live in such an instant, everything's now, and everybody wants that instant gratification. And working out and becoming a better version of you is definitely a delayed, because you don't see, like, especially if you're on a journey of like fat loss or like real body transformation, you can be doing the same thing eating the same thing, working out, locked in for like a month and not see any result.
For sure.
But then literally the next week, all of a sudden, boom, and then you just, you know, compound over that. But it's that first like 30 days that most people quit because they're not seeing the change that they think is supposed to happen. So that's why people get into these fad diets and starving themselves and Ozempic and all this, you know, instant stuff.
For sure.
So I have some questions here. I want to well, this one was interesting, especially because it was in the intro. Your father served a life sentence in prison. I mean, how did that impact your life?
So when my mom told me when I was 8. So I had early on. And I remember she told me I was 8. He committed a crime that he committed like 10 years ago. Finally got jammed up for it. Wow. So I was 8. So he met my mom knowing he committed this crime. And obviously if you do a life sentence, you did a pretty harsh crime. Yeah. So more of understanding that, like, yo, this happened before I was even on this earth, you know? And understanding that I didn't understand I had to reinvent myself at such an early age, but as I gotten older, I realized like I had to become the man of the house extremely early. I remember, you know, my friends having their dads, you know, throw the ball with. I never had any of that, you know? Didn't have my dad taking me to the gym. So it was like I was constantly like reinventing myself at such a young age to become the person that, like, yo, I want to be X, Y, and Z. And I had to figure it out on my own of how to get there. So, like, for me to become a college basketball player, to me, at the end of the day, since I never had those things that most people have to get there. Right. There was no blueprint. It was just, yo, just keep going to the gym. I fell in love with basketball. I kept working out, you know, like doing things like that. But I never had a blueprint to do anything.
And you never had like any other male figure that you think like helped that, or was it literally like?
So I signed up for a big brother, big sister association. My mom put me in.
Okay.
He kind of, you know, directed the ball, kind of explained, you know, what basketball was, but majority of it was, you know, was just going to the park, going to the gym, and just, you know, figuring it out.
Yeah.
So to this day, it's still kind of odd that I look back because I didn't have like an older brother. It was me and my mom.
Right.
Yeah. So it's kind of like she didn't know basketball. You know, she didn't care for it. It was like, oh, you play sports.
So it was really the love of the game
really
that did
just
it.
Loving it, man.
Yeah.
Loving the work, loving what you got to do, loving the, you know, the work ethic standpoint of it, the camaraderie. Just, but yeah, to this day, like, it's kind of weird that, you know, if you look back, my friends, we were 10, they're like, yo, he was the one who, like, not that I wasn't good, it was just like he didn't have the direction that we had.
Yeah.
So now I see like NBA players or just professional athletes, and you realize like their father played, you know, or like, I'm like, yo, like y'all had the blueprint the entire time, you know? So I never had any of that, man.
That's actually, I mean, it's very unique and special. And I mean, it shows your drive. Like you had something different inside of you, because if you didn't have somebody got in the way, I mean, I mean, you had to have like a real personal drive, which is special. So all right. So you're at, where are you getting your CSCS again?
I was at VCU, Virginia Commonwealth
So you're at
University.
VCU, and then whenever you got that, and you started being a graduate assistant there?
Yeah, I was a graduate assistant there.
As a strength coach?
Yep.
Okay.
I got a great story for you with this one.
Yeah, so tell me, like, take me there, because I have some great memories. I just want to hear it, like, from yours.
So what's funny is when I first got there, when I first got my first year at VCU, I was a basketball strength coach. I'm cutting up film. My coach knew the head coach. The coach I played for, you know how it works.
Yeah.
He knew the head coach that played there for a while. So I get there, I'm cutting up film, I'm working out the players, but I'm always like in the morning, I'm lifting at 5, 6 in the morning. I'm always like the first one in the gym, and the head coach would come and like you get on elliptical, you know, head coaches like they're just like they're getting their mind right.
Yeah.
And he would always see me and working out. And then at the end of the first year, he was like, "You ever thought about being a strength coach?" And I was like, "Man, nah, man. Like I ain't that guy." He's like, "I'm telling you, you'll kill it in that space, man. Like the guys respect you, like you love it, like just make it a career." So I was like, all right, I'll try it for a year. So my second year as a GA, I was just strength and conditioning GA. Okay. And so which was also a weird transition, because it's like now you're supposed to become this, hey, do this, do that. And that was never me. Like they just knew, like, Travis, if whatever we needed, like we want to work out, he's there. He'll rebound, he'll do whatever. He's been an athlete. He understands, you know, the requirements. So then moved into the strength and conditioning space, got the CSCS. But the interesting thing about this story is most people after a GA, you go get a job. Like your next thing is, right? I didn't feel like I was ready yet. I was like, man, like I've been doing this for a year. So I took an internship. I took a step back, which a lot of people wouldn't do. I went to UCF to do an internship just because I was like, all right, I wanted to work for the Magic at the time. Okay. My best friend had worked for the Magic. So I was like, if I take an internship at UCF and they was having a summer league around this time, and I was like, if I could take an internship at UCF, I'd be connected to the Magic.
They're both in Orlando.
They're both in Orlando, so that's why I did. That's why I went from a GA to an intern.
And you did an internship as a strength coach.
As strength coach
for
UCF.
Yep.
UCF, and was there for. So here's the thing about it. It was a summer internship. So if you know anything about college sports, it was summer internship. Summer is the meat of the training.
Yep.
So I was like, I'm taking a risk on this NBA. If I don't have nothing after this internship's over, all the college jobs are gone.
Right.
It's NBA or bust. And all of a sudden, you know, I was in the right position at the right time. I'm sure we'll get into.
All right, so keep going.
No, okay, so
keep telling the story. It's good.
So, and I really want people to understand this part. So, when I was at UCF, I went there. I'm an intern. I was the first person there. I was the last person to leave. I had experience coaching, so that kind of helped. But I presented myself like I was the strength coach at Auburn. And what happened was the guy I worked for was he was really close with the Villanova strength coach. This is where Kyle Lowry played basketball at Villanova.
Okay.
So Kyle was training at Villanova. He's like, man, I'm looking for somebody just to travel with me. He just signed a 3-year, $100 million contract at this time. I have no idea who Kyle. I mean, I know who he is, but we have nothing. The guy I'm working for brings me in his office one day and was like, hey, look, I know somebody. He's a strength coach at Villanova. He's training Kyle Lowry because he's home. He's in Philly right now this season, and he's looking for a personal guy. I'm 25. I haven't made a check off of this at all.
Right.
I'm 25 years old. He's like, would you do it? I'm like,
like
when do I start?
Yeah, exactly.
When do I start? So I tell people all the time, like, my first check ever in this was from at the time was a 3-time NBA All-Star. But it was because of the way I presented myself when I walked in there. I was the first person there, the last person there. I didn't treat the athletes like they were my friends. I was here to do a job. I turned the dumbbells up. All the night logos were up every time before I left. I sprayed. I did all those things. So I always tell people, like, you have to know your stuff, but you got to be able to separate yourself. And that was a big thing for me. How I made that quantum leap was because I did the things that most people don't think that they matter, and they do.
But I want you to go a little bit deeper with that, because I've heard you twice say I was the first person in the building, and that always like really resonates with me. And then doing all these things, and what I hear when I hear you say all these things, it's all the little things, and then it's also the things that you don't get the applause for. So like, be a little bit more specific on the little things that you did that you didn't get. You know, people weren't praising you about it. Maybe sometimes people weren't even seeing you do it, but you knew that if you did those things, it would put you in a better position.
So when I got there, I really want to understand the person that was like my supervisor, who I was working for. How did they react? How did they act? Like, what do they want? What do they expect out of me? And I took it above that level, to another level. Simple as the snacks. I wanted every time a player, the snacks to be the right way. Now, I was prepped because I came from VCU, which is a big time basketball school, and we were successful. So me seeing that coach, it goes back, his name's Will Wade. He actually was at LSU for a little bit, but I see how he prepped, and it always stuck with me. I see everything mattered. I'm like, yo, why does this coach, everything matter? And then a couple of years later, he's at LSU. So I'm like, oh, it makes sense. But like, every detail mattered. There was nothing like, we'd be going through practice. He's like, no, that's not good enough. And I mean, no disrespect to where I played at, but it was just like, it wasn't the SEC. Like, some things like, all right, guys, next station. Like, no. There was never no next station until it was perfectly done. And it really, I took that with me when I went to UCF, because I was like, yo, how do I stand out? And I'm like, everybody's going to be doing the same thing. Everybody's going to be spotting people. Everybody's going to be writing down. But I know the things that nobody wants to do. Nobody wants to make sure all the J hooks are right. Nobody wants to make sure all the safety bars. Nobody wants to count the plates on each side, make sure before we leave. Nobody wants to do those things. So what if I do them? And those little things are what people like, they don't understand. I never forget, there was a time I got there super early, and the supervisor pulled up. He was like, why are you here so early? I was like, you may need something. I don't know. Like, but that's just how that's how I was operating. Like, just be there, you know, just in case somebody needs you. And it was the best thing I probably have ever done at that age.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's such a lesson for the younger generation to hear, because, you know, again, it goes back to everybody wants, but they don't want to do what it's required to get. You know, like it's baffling to me. And you can tell them, but at the end of the day, there has to be something inside of you that you got to want to do the little things in order to get where you're trying to go. Do you know Gunnar Peterson?
Yeah, I know he is.
All right, so Gunnar's a good friend of mine. Yep. And the very first time I went to his gym in Beverly Hills, now he's in Nashville, but when I went to his gym in Beverly Hills and I was working out a little bit, I put the dumbbells back, and I thought that I lined up the G's correctly, but it was like, I mean, I'm telling you, it was like this much off, you know, like that. And his other trainer in the gym literally scolded me, came up to me and was like, hey, the dumbbells are supposed to be lined up like this when you put the dumbbells back. And at first I was like, you know, I did put it back. And but then I looked and I was like, oh, he's right. And it just, it's like one of those moments where you're like, man, I love these people. You know, I was like, these are my people. And then so as soon as you said that, I was like, man, this is great. And I had a trainer come in. He only worked for me for about 2 months, and he always had my dog ears all lined up. And I've told my staff a million times, and they still don't get it. But
it's a presentation. You never know who's walking in there. You never know. I've been in some gyms. Not that would steer me away from it, but like, you ever walk a gym just like looking around? It's like, it's just, I wouldn't want to train here.
Yeah.
Like,
I tell everybody, like, the cleanliness and the organization of a gym is the first thing people pay attention to. And everyone's paying attention. Like, you think that they're not, but they are. The average person that walks in the gym, they notice stuff. I always, like, the first thing I do when I go anywhere that's like a private place, whether it be like a chiropractic office or massage office, something like that, is when I go to the bathroom, I pay attention to the bathroom. Like, is the trash overflowing? Is the toilet, you know what I mean? Because
do they care?
It just, do you care or not? You know? So I love that. And then, so now you have this opportunity because of you doing the little things, and that sets you up. You're 25 years old, and you're going to Philly to.
He's playing for Toronto.
So now he's at Toronto. Yep. So, and you're his private strength and conditioning coach.
One-on-one.
Private. Yeah. You do nutrition, everything.
Everything.
So, because I've done this before,
for sure.
and talk about that, because I don't think people realize. I want to hear your take on it. So you go to Toronto. Are you living with them?
No.
Okay, so you have your own place.
Yes.
At least that's good.
Come on, we can talk for this. Come on, but
come on. Like, so give me a little bit. I mean, you're 25 and now you're, a private.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a big role.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that a little bit.
So from Atlanta, drive to Toronto.
Okay.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, that's 15.
Yeah, about
15 hours.
About 15.
Yeah.
Drive there, cross the border.
Okay.
Listen, man, like this story starts from crossing the border. I'm crossing the border. I'm not even understanding that you're bringing a packed car into another country.
So did your whole car get raided?
Whole car. So I never forget. And my mom was like, I told you. And
That's funny.
I'm like, yo, we just drove 15 hours.
Yeah.
Because they're like, so, they start asking you all these questions. And I was just like, well, like, I forget exactly what I said, but I was like, it's a trial run, but like they're big on like, yo, you're not about to come here taking our jobs,
Yep.
So they went through. I was like, just an athlete, things like that, and they rated the car and everything was fine, and then I went there. But so this story is very emotional to me because like reached my biggest dream in the world, man. Like I'm an NBA trainer. This dude was an all-star at the time, like. Everything, like this is all I ever dreamed of, and I'm pretty sure you can attest to this, and this is kind of why I go into helping people reinvent themselves, because sometimes you can get your biggest dream, man, and it's not what you've expected. It's not. It's just, I'm just gonna be upfront, like it's not what you expect, because everything is within. Everything I do, everything I speak on Instagram, it's about within. And I can speak to that because people see me on the PJs, they see this, they see that. And it's like, there were times I was miserable because I'm like, what am I doing? Who am I? I'm helping one person in this whole world. I'm helping one person who has a 3-year, $100 million contract. Something's not right. So anyways, because this is going to be a great, we're going to, obviously, I really want to speak on this with you. But so traveling around with him, like I said, amazing, man. It was an amazing opportunity. I still do it to this day.
Yeah.
But I did 1 year. My first year, I did 1 year. I left because of depression.
Oh wow.
I left because of depression.
Now was it because you were living his life and not your own?
He was. That was my everything.
Like it's because when I did that too, it's like you went to sleep when they went to sleep. You ate when they ate. You had to eat what they ate. Like you were on call. It was a weird thing, and you were literally. It was almost like how I was, and I was with a high net worth person, so it wasn't even an athlete. Yeah. You almost felt like you were on edge all the time, because you're like, is he gonna call? Is he gonna call? Like you couldn't relax, you know? It was crazy. Is that kind of similar, a little bit?
So our first year, I took that same mentality of like, I'm your trainer. I don't want to eat with you. I don't want to do anything with you, which kind of made it worse because I never knew what was going on. So I never knew when I was going to get text messages. I never knew much because I tried so hard to distance myself because I was like, I got to be professional. Right. I'm like, which it's a great thing to do, but if you know both sides of it, it's like now you're sitting by the phone. Now you don't know. Now you're in Toronto. Right. It's cold as I don't know what. You can't do anything else. You're living here illegally. So it's like you're sitting in a room. So let's say I trained him
most of the time because you only train. Maybe 2 hours, maybe.
Come on. Come on.
Yeah.
So, and once the season started, like, let's say we had a homestand in Toronto, so he had 3 games. He may train 2 to 3 times out those 8 days.
Right.
That's 45 minutes to an hour because I have games. What am I doing the other 23 hours of the day?
Yeah.
And that's where you start looking at yourself in the mirror and you say, you've been through it. It's like, hold on. I strive so hard to climb this ladder, and you didn't even understand what was at the top of the ladder. You just knew, like, I want to train the most elite, the most high, higher, whatever it may be, whatever you want to do, but you really didn't have a scope of what you was truly signing up for.
Yeah, every time, because now I have multiple trainers underneath me, and I mean, if I told you how many times I ask them, like, what do you want to do? I want to train professional athletes. I want to train celebrities. And I'm like, well, why? Yeah. And then, they tell you why. And I'm like, but that's not. And then you can tell them, and then they still probably don't even believe you. But yeah, like you don't know until you go through it.
Till you sit in a hotel room and you're like, oh my God.
Okay, so you did a year with Kyle.
Yep.
And then you said you took a year off, or what happened?
I went to college.
You went back to college.
I went to Florida Gulf Coast.
Okay. To get another degree?
No, I was a strength coach there.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
So now you're a strength coach in college.
In college.
Like the strength coach?
The head strength coach.
Oh, that's great.
Yep.
Okay.
So I did that.
At 26?
Yep.
That's amazing.
Then went to USF.
Okay.
Was a basketball strength coach. And what's crazy is COVID, this is around COVID time.
Okay.
Toronto gets kicked out of Canada for the season. They get kicked out because of COVID. Canada doesn't want to. Yeah, Toronto didn't play. In COVID, Toronto played in Tampa.
What? I didn't hear that.
Toronto, the Raptors played in Tampa. And so that's how I started working with him again.
No way.
But because I was at USF.
Okay.
But more mature, understand what I can do in this space versus the 25-year-old me. So now at the time I'm like 30, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go back and do it, but I'm gonna make sure I can pour into as many people as I can possibly pour into, because the first time I did it, I poured into one person, and that person was a NBA All-Star. Like I'm not using my gift properly. And this is why this time around, so I've been working with him since we played with the Heat 3 years ago. Now I'm in Philadelphia. But yeah, now it's like,
explain that for a second. So when you say that, you said you poured into him, and now you want to pour into more people. So explain that. Like what was where did that come from, and then how did you do that?
So obviously, like I said, I looked back at the old me. Like, what did you do wrong? What burned you inside the first time you became an NBA trainer? And I remember telling myself it was because you was only helping one person. So this time around, like I said, when I developed a coaching program where I have a coaching program called The Formula, and the idea of it is to give people a way to reinvent themselves. And we do it in 4 phases. The first phase is rewire. Every client I have to rewire, I have to challenge their thought patterns. Now, we do this in 100 days. Your body's gonna change, you know how it works, all that stuff's gonna change, but that's not the point of it. The point of it is I need you to start thinking differently about how you just do anything, So we rewire the brains. The first phase we go through in our reinvention program. The second one is we recommit. Every client, you must recommit to who you are. You must recommit to your promise. Like, everybody has this promise to themselves and they just drop it off. January 1st, all the promises come out. And by time April, they don't mean anything anymore. Right. So I get people to recommit to themselves. And the third phase is you actually reinvent yourself. This is actually, you working out, you being disciplined, your nutrition. I can see everything you're doing, just like an online program that somebody would do. But this is more of a coaching. This is more of me with you there every single day. And the fourth step is that we repeat it. And now when we repeat it, I always tell people, I'm teaching you what the elite does. And you know this. This is what they do. The reason Kevin Durant is Kevin Durant, he reinvents himself. So what he does is every season he rewires his brain. He recommits to the process, to the sacrifice. He reinvents himself. He wakes up at 5 a.m. He goes to shots. He goes to lift weights. He does what you have to do, and he repeats the cycle. Now, a lot of people, when they repeat the cycle, when they go back to rewire, they never challenge that last reinvention. That's where people mess up at. Right. They don't challenge it. You have to challenge what you did prior, whether you won an NBA championship or not. And I think a lot of people live in stagnation, and that's what we're fighting against. We're fighting against stagnation, and it's what I want people to get out. I get a lot of clients who are just going through the motions in life, just waking up every day, and it's like, listen, if I can change your physique, change the way you feel about yourself, change the way you look in 100 days, which we've done, you're gonna think about life completely different, because there are so many things that you stop doing so you can make this program successful, so you can get your money's worth for this program. And all of a sudden, after 100 days, you realize, oh shoot, I'm this person that I always wanted to be. And I'm like, you did that in 100 days. Imagine if you keep these habits. So yeah, we just try to get people out of, fight the stages of stagnation. And there's a whole cycle to that. I mean, I'll go through it quick. There's satisfaction. That's the first step. People are satisfied, constantly satisfied. I mean, I love what I see in your gym. I'm like, that's what I think of. Like, now I'm thinking about doing this one at Torrid. Whatever it may be. It's like,
because I'm never satisfied.
You can't be satisfied, and it's a blessing and a curse.
I was about to say, yeah, it's a blessing and a curse for sure.
It's a blessing and a curse, man, because I'm the same way. I'm never satisfied. I mean, I can do something like, oh, you did this, and I'm like, all right, so now what?
Right. So
people get satisfied. That creates a standstill where you do nothing. You're satisfied, so now you make no moves, and now you suffer. That's the third phase of satisfaction. And stagnation, you suffer. You're suffering because you're at a standstill because you became satisfied, and that's a sequence. It happens over and over. So I try to take the people out of stagnation and put them into the reinvention cycle, and we do that by obviously using, physical and and nutrition and things like that, just to change the way you look at yourself and the way you feel about yourself to get you into that reinvention cycle.
And when you were with Kyle the second time and this became something that you wanted to do, how did you let people know that that's what you were, you know what I mean? Like, was it an online thing? Was it in-person thing? Did you work with other players with this? Like, tell me a little bit about
online.
A little bit on,
It's everything's online.
Okay.
I did it all online. I started, it's funny, I had to reinvent myself. So I was the type of person, I'm like, man, I'm not holding no camera up. I'm not talking to myself. And one of my things I tell myself, look, Ego's a strong boy, man. He's strong. And I had somebody say, look, you want to help people, but you won't talk into a camera. You won't. So do you want to help people or do you not? And that's the way you can reach people. Right. So I had to check myself, like it's crazy. You have to check. Do I want to do it? Do I like doing it? No. Just to be honest with you, like, no. But if somebody sees that message and be like, I'm in a stagnant place, man. I'm extremely, I haven't moved. My weight hasn't changed. I've been trying to drop 20 pounds for the last 3 years. I can't solve my eating disorder. I have no help. I want to reinvent myself, but I have something that can help somebody, but I won't do what it takes for them to hear it, for them to see it. Right. So who's being selfish and who's not? So that's kind of how it started, just learning how to build a business. And it all started from just speaking online. I transformed my body, showing that it can work. And then people started doing it, sign up for the program, and it's been amazing.
Yeah. Do you have like a app and all that? Or
so we used Trainerize, but we've linked with Trainerize. I have like my own logo on there.
Oh,
but
cool.
yeah, I will get my own app eventually. But right now we're partnered with Trainerize.
Okay.
And we add the nutrition, obviously, and nutrition is huge, man. I think a lot of people look at nutrition as like, here's how I see nutrition, man. If you know what can make you successful, let's talk about, we don't have to get all into macros, but let's just think about this from a mindset perspective. If I can look at somebody like, hey, if you eat this amount of macros, proteins, carbs, fats, right? And you look the best you've ever looked in 100 days. And then, supplement it with my workouts. For you to sit there and tell me, no, I don't want to do that. You just told me you don't want to look and be your best. Right. You just told me that. Yep. Like, I'm just going to be 100%. That's what you're telling me. Because everybody has this goal of, I want this and I want that. And a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to take it that far. You actually do. You just don't want to do what it takes. And you spoke on that earlier. Yep. Nobody wants to do what's required. Right. People can walk and see your gym, like, oh my God, I want to do it. And then you tell them the story. Well, this is how I look like this. This is how I think like this. This is how I speak like this because I'm like this. I don't want to take it that far. Well, then you don't want the result.
Right.
And that's what it comes down to.
Okay. I like that.
Sorry to get all sorry.
No, don't apologize.
But that's how I see it.
I love the energy. I love it's not a mystery why you are where you are, and it's obvious. It's funny though, like, so, and my crew will tell you this. I hate talking to the camera like that. I absolutely hate it. Like, hate it. So when you said that, I was dying out laughing on the inside because that's something I still struggle with.
But let me tell you what you did. Let me cut you off. You built a platform which allows you to still speak to people. But that's how, like, if this is something that somebody can't do, you can find a way to not speak in the camera. If I had a podcast, I wouldn't talk in front of the camera as much.
Right. No. I mean, but I respect how you framed it and how you said it. I've never really heard someone say it like that, especially it was very powerful the way you said it. And because I think a lot of times as outsiders, when we see a lot of it, right?
That's
and I think you have good and you have bad. And when you see everybody doing it, and you see the people that have no business giving advice, and then so as somebody that has a resume or whatever, has history and has experience, and then you're watching this, you almost say to yourself, I don't want to do it because these clowns are doing it, But I mean, that's everything in life. So I mean, so anyways, the way you said it was really a great way to break it down. So,
and that's like for how many people say I'm never doing a gym? People say it all the time.
All the time.
Yep. But it's like nobody's about to do no days off like you, but nobody's about to do legacy the way you're doing it. So I'm not doing it how you're doing it because I'm going to do it my way.
You're going to do it your way.
And
you're unique because it's you. Like everybody has their uniqueness.
And people don't understand that.
Exactly.
Everybody's unique.
Everybody's unique.
Nobody has the same past.
Absolutely not. And also too is no one, in my opinion, like no one has the same mind. Like we all are so unique the way we think and then the conversations we're having with ourselves and all that. So, and you can change that, you know, you can change what's going on up there. You mentioned just now the reinvention is a requirement, which definitely, so no days off is never taking a day off on you. It's a commitment to becoming your best self. So when I was trying to push that, when everybody thought that and to this day, still people get confused with no days off is the grind and never not working out and all that. And that's really never been what I intended it for it to be and not what it is for me and for our community. And so for me, it's literally what you just said is that if you're not constantly trying to challenge and change yourself, then what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? And it never stops. Like, it never stops. Like, my dad just got in town, my mom and dad, and my dad walked in. He was telling me about, like, his workouts and stuff. And he's 73 years old, you know what I mean? So, like, it never stops. It never stops.
Never ends.
But go into this whole reinvention, you know, and explain a little bit more about, like, how you coach your clients in that way.
So, I mean, first of all, everybody's different. I think that's the number one thing that, you know, I've learned in this business. Like, there's a lot of cookie cutter stuff going out there. Just hand it to people. And
especially from the nutrition side.
Exactly, from the nutrition side, because a lot of people don't want to actually learn what it takes to give somebody exactly what they need.
Right.
And by being able to do that, when you see somebody on my website or on my Instagram who've done it in 100 days, completely natural, it's because what I gave them was identified strictly what they needed, you know? That's why it works, you know? And people don't want to dig that deep into it. Now, I believe, you know, working with elite athletes, that's what I take from them. I take something from everyone. Everything matters, man, to those dudes. Like, when it comes to the core and all the things, everything matters. Right. Like, everything. Like, nah, man, I got 9 for 10, man. Nah, come on, 10 for 10, man. I'm not leaving. So I'm like, all right, if I treated my clients like that, if I treated each and every one clients, now obviously as it grows, you're gonna run into, it's only one of me, you know, different things happen. But in the beginning, it's like being able to give people exactly what they need in terms of what they should eat, what their goals are, and being able to show them and help them understand if they were to do this, this would be the outcome of it.
How many clients do you like kind of average a month, like on this?
A month, maybe probably get 5 to 10 a month. Okay, 5 to 10 a month.
But it shows how unique it is and how much time you're putting in.
How much time you're putting each person.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Is a lot of accountability on your part towards them?
So the great thing about it is with the app, with Trainerize and how we built it, is accountability already built in. You have your check-ins, progress pictures. I can see everything you ate, obviously, if you tracked it,
right,
if you did what you're supposed to do. So you have that accountability.
So it's already built in.
It's built in.
I love it.
And it becomes a you versus you. So in 3 weeks, your body, if you did what you know, if you did, your body should look different. I'm not saying you're going to be day 100 you, right, but in 21 to 28 days, we should be able to see like, okay, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
They should also be feeling better too.
Oh, that's the first thing. Yo, my energy is out. My energy is crazy, you know, blah, blah. And by being able to do it, so it's built in the program. And I think the best thing that, you know, I don't give people a diet. I teach you how to hit what you want to hit based on the numbers I've given you. So I think that's why people are so successful, because I don't take anything away from you. Now, it's not going to add up if you continue bad habits.
Is it macro based?
Exactly,
okay.
exactly. Right. So it's not going to add up. So, but you're able to create what you want to create out of you know, the knowledge that I teach you,
right, in
terms of how to do it. So like I said, everybody's different. You know, obviously that's something as scaling begins to happen, it's going to become something I have to deal with. But right now, I think that I've been really, really successful with it because I take care of everyone as if they're Kyle,
right,
as if they're, you know, another athlete that wants to train with me, and giving them exactly what they need to be their best version of themselves.
What has it been like working with Kyle?
It's been It's been amazing, man.
Yeah.
It's been like, I mean, and you know, like, people ask me all the time, like, would you do this with another athlete after Kyle? So Kyle, we're on year 19 now, which is crazy. So
wow,
yeah, exactly, year 19, man. So let's say we get to year 20. You can't do this with anybody. You can't. And I was extremely lucky to have somebody who like is a good person. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like, and you have to. So I wouldn't do it again. I want my coaching business to be at a point where, you know, it can sustain what I want to do and continue to grow. And
wait, Kyle's been in the league for 19 years?
19 years, man. He's 38.
Bro, that is unbelievable.
A 6 foot dude.
That's like, I mean, the only person I can think of off the top of this is LeBron.
LeBron, Chris Paul, and him.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
And
I had no idea.
6 foot. It's the craziest thing.
Yeah.
It's the craziest thing. But
so he got in the league when he was 19 years old?
05. He did 1 year at Nova.
Okay.
2 years at Nova. 2 years
right.
at Nova. 17, 18, drafted at 19.
Wow, that's impressive. And it also, too, says a lot about you.
We try.
Because longevity is, most of the time, is tied into people's lifestyle and how they're treating their body. So kudos, bro. I mean, that's awesome. Like, really cool. So tell me some of your training stories. You got any good ones? You've worked with other athletes?
Yes.
So you got any what's your craziest
like a training story?
Yeah.
I don't really have any training stories.
See, I guess I'm the crazy
Yeah, I
trainer.
don't
So.
have any
All right, let me tell you some of mine,
Yeah,
and
let me
then
hear one.
let's talk about Serge Ibaka real fast. So I know you know Serge.
Yep.
So Serge came in to my gym and we hit it off really well. But Serge is very cocky, like very cocky, like in his own African way.
He loves Serge.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't blame him. He's like the best looking person on the planet. He speaks 9 languages. He comes in with a different chick every day. I can't blame the guy.
He got the fashion.
He's got it. Yeah. So he starts talking shit to me while we're working out, and then I start talking shit back, and then next thing I know, we're out by the train tracks, and I'm like literally like, yo, we can go right now if you want to go. Yeah. And then literally he changed his tune and started laughing, and we went back in the gym and worked out, and we had a good time. But that was a good one. And then the very first time I worked with Kyrie, it was brief because he wasn't about that life. Like now he is a good friend. Do you know Irv Rowland? Yeah. So Irv's my guy. I've known Irv for years.
But yeah.
So Irv's now with Kyrie, and Kyrie's totally changed his But when he was young, Kyrie,
you mature.
Yeah, exactly. When he was young, Kyrie, he didn't want to do nothing, and that was a battle. I guess these stories aren't that crazy, but I'm like envisioning it in my head. But and then I remember when the lockout happened. Mm-hmm. So when the lockout happened, Irv and I were here, and we literally had the NBA Finals before the NBA Finals. So we were running the Heat versus OKC with refs down in the University of Miami, like for months during the lockout. Like it was unbelievable. And then a really cool story was KD and Joe Johnson did a workout with Irv, and they never missed a shot. Like I watched a 2-hour workout, and they did not miss a shot.
That's insane.
It was insane. So, anyways, so yeah, but I did. That was those are just some of the ones off the top of my head. But I've almost gotten to several fights with my football players too. But that's a whole nother. They're more difficult.
No. Like I said, I've been one-on-one with Kyle for so long that the other people I've trained, they usually just like throw-ins. They'll be visiting him. Or, we're in the same area at the same time. But I mean, no, it's been amazing.
What's your philosophy on basketball like training in terms of strength? Do you have like a certain way, like do you have your philosophy for it?
If I had to like just like pick a philosophy or something, I really like something that I say like I'm going to do this. But I'm a big universal guy, man. And when I mean universal, wherever we can go, we can get the job done. And because a lot of people don't understand, you're in a hotel for majority of the year.
Right.
And I think a lot of times that, young strength coaches get caught up in this. It's like, I got to have this perfect plan. Or I got to have this. It's like, if you really want to be an NBA trainer, you're going to realize you may get a text and say, hey, let's lift in 5. Right. And you're walking up there with no idea what's in the weight room because you just got to the hotel. So it's really my thing is being able to be universal about what you're doing and not trying to reinvent the wheel, especially when you get to these type of level athletes. Like, you have to understand them at the same time. Like, yes, we're gonna work on things you need to work on, but what are you comfortable with? Like I said, I got with Kyle. He was 30. He was never doing Olympic lifts, so I'm not gonna come in there and reinvent the wheel for a guy who's already an all-star. You know, it's kind of like, it just doesn't make sense. But yeah, I've always been a universal guy because I've been traveling with him for years, and we've been in Mexico, we've been in Germany. Like, you never know what you're gonna get, but being able to make decisions on the fly, I think, is the most important thing when it comes to being an elite athlete.
Definitely having that versatility wherever you are, you can get it in. So I was a big believer in just keeping it simple, because a lot of these guys were not weight room coordinated, if you know what I mean. Especially like guys like KD, and, you know, because they're so long and awkward. So I kept it super, super simple, because I always felt like an obligation to make sure they did not get hurt. Like, that was like you're talking about somebody that makes $30-40 million a year. It's like, just don't get hurt. So it was like doing a lot more simple stuff. And when I see a lot of trainers out there, you know, you're standing on a bazoo ball with this thing, that thing, and it's like, I don't know about that.
Is it worth it?
Yeah. Is it worth it?
So the simple thing is kind of how I see same thing.
Yeah.
If you walk into a hotel with just dumbbells and a treadmill, like, we not stepping on no ball. We don't have it. Exactly, so why would I put that into? Why would I do those types of things when I may not be able to do it tomorrow or the next week? So I just kept it super simple, and like I say, it's universal. Wherever we go, no matter what they have, they can get their work done. They can feel like because at the end of the day, it's about them, which is a whole nother topic in this field. Like, at the end of the day, it's about the athlete. Right. You know, it's about making sure they're comfortable, making sure that they're going with if they have a game routine, you keep it as much as you possibly can, no matter where you go. So I would never want to, hey, we're doing this, but the next week when we're in Dallas, we can't do it. It's like, well, I like doing that. So, you find things that you can do anywhere.
Does he have any superstitions or quirky thing? Like, does he do anything that's like unique?
He's a big pancake guy. He has to have his pancakes.
That's funny.
But that's probably his thing. Like, he's besides that, like, he doesn't really have any. But I know he's publicly said, like, game day, pancakes.
Got to have his pancakes. What are your non-negotiables in life and in your coaching philosophy?
So I post my non-negotiables every morning.
Okay.
Every morning. So number one, win the alarm. Every time, every morning. That. I'm never going to let alarm beat
Amber.
Me. No. Win the alarm, no matter what. That's number one. So alarm goes off at 4:30. We got to win every day.
Do you have any tricks for that, for people out there listening?
So I think you actually go before the alarm goes off the night before.
Okay.
Now, I'm not telling somebody how to live their life, but I don't party, I don't drink, I don't do anything that's going to affect me from winning the alarm. I think life is a domino effect. So if I do the things prior the night before, I'm always going to win my alarm. Now, I travel a lot, I do different things, life happens, but in terms of people who have a hard time getting up, or it's a real issue for people. Like, it's
I
real.
would say it might be the number one thing as trainers, coaches, like the number one thing you hear. I can't get up in the morning.
I've started to hear it. I'm confused.
And I love it when they say I can't get up in the morning. What does that even mean? And then from the South, I say can't, never could. So it's like, that doesn't even make any sense.
When you
can do anything that you choose to do. So it's a decision at the end of the day. It's a decision. That's it.
Like, you hear the alarm.
Right.
Like, what do you do? Like, I've just started because I've been working with athletes for so long. It's been normal. So as I got into this space, and like when I'm working with clients and like, hey, like, I don't really have much time to train. I'm like, well, just train before you go to work. Wake up in the morning.
Exactly.
Oh, well, how am I supposed to wake up what do you mean? The alarm goes off, you get up. So number one, win the alarm. Like I said, if I could help anybody prior to that, I'd say, the night before, the day before, like, life's a domino effect, good and bad. You stack good days, you most likely get a good outcome. You stack bad habits and bad days, you get a bad outcome. Number two, win the workout. So, and I'm glad, I like this when you talk about no days off, because win the workout doesn't mean I'm crushing, I'm running, I'm doing. Win the workout could be going for a walk, getting your mind. That's winning the workout.
Yes.
That is doing something.
Yes.
That is doing something for your physical, your mental, your emotional state. So when people see win the workout, I don't lift weights Sunday through Sunday. I don't. Like, we walk the dog, we do different types of things. That's my workout for the day. Like, I'm winning the workout. Number three is win the meal. So when I win the meal, I mean, we're talking macro base, we're talking, you know, putting myself in a position so I can feel good, so I can look good, so my confidence can be high. I think that is underrated value in looking the way you want to look. Like people like, oh, like you want to look good for the opposite sex or like whatever it may be. The confidence level that you get from looking a certain way is undefeated. It's undefeated. And the reason undefeated because it allows you to speak a certain way, knowing I've done what I possibly could do to be my best version. Am I perfect? No, but I'm doing what I possibly can do to be my best version. It gives me that I want to say like, you know, that outlook on life in terms of when I say win the meal. So putting stuff in my body that I know is going to help me. So when I come and speak to you, I can say it, I can feel comfortable, I can spread that message because I know I do it.
Right.
People can't do that because it's like, you ever see somebody who's like, maybe a doctor, and I'm like, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
How?
Right.
Like, and even when sometimes when those type of people speak, they have a hard time speaking it because they know you're looking at them like, what?
Exactly.
So win the meal. Number 4 is the great thing that we talk about is it's win the battle against my ego. Win the battle against my ego. So whatever that may be, talking on the camera, doing something I don't want to do. Am I trying to get Travis a win, or am I trying to help somebody in the world win? Which direction am I going to take? So I'm always trying to win the battle against my ego. I think that, you know, in a space where, like, you know, like I said, when you're on all over the world traveling, things like this, it's like, how can I help somebody? Or do I just accept all this because we're in Cabo, we're living it up? Or do I figure out how can I help somebody? That's, you know, me letting my ego get the best of me. And then the 5th one, it kind of sums it all up. It's always win the decision. That'll be the best, that'll help me be my best version. So for instance, when I knew that this was an option, there was nothing to talk about. Like, this is not about me. This is about somebody to listen to it and say like, hey man, like, maybe I do want to be my best version. Maybe I don't want to be stagnant. Maybe I don't want to take no days off to be my best version. Like, that's why I'm here. I'm not here for me. And I think that's those 5 things that I post every single morning just realigns me for the day. Hey man, win the alarm. We got to win. Some people wake up with an L as soon as like, I was supposed to wake up an hour ago.
Yep.
You already like
domino effect.
Boom, boom, boom,
right.
boom, boom. I'm late for
exactly
this.
What you said.
I'm not going to eat breakfast. Let me just go grab this. Guys.
Miss my workout. Like, yeah.
Life is a sum of decisions.
Yep.
I don't care what nobody says. Like, things happen. I get it. Like, hey, my father did life in prison, so I'm the first person to say like things do happen.
Right.
But at the end of the day, life is a sum of decisions. Regardless where you want to look at it, it's a sum of decisions. So if I can do those 5 things to the best of my ability, I can lay my head at night and be like, hey man, today wasn't a good day, but we did our 5 things. We put ourselves in the best position to win. Maybe we took an L. I don't really believe in L's, but maybe, you know, maybe it didn't work out the way we wanted it to.
Right.
But I did what I know I possibly could have done that day for the result that I wanted.
Yeah. So win the alarm. Some of the things that I tell people all the time is like, if you have a problem winning the alarm, put your alarm somewhere outside of the bedroom. So it forces you to get up.
I like that.
So the kitchen alarm is my favorite because it's obnoxious, it's loud, and it literally forces you. And then whatever your routine is, so if it's like tea, coffee, water, lemon, whatever it is, supplements, whatever it is, have that out ready in the kitchen. And then typically you're not going to go back to sleep, you know? Also the conversation you have in your head. So when we wake up, no matter if you're Travis or me or Oscar or whatever, the first thing that pops in your head is like, you know, you feel good in the cozy ass bed. Like, we're all human. Like, we're not some weird creatures. But you have to change that narrative that's going on in your head. So in order to win the alarm, you have to win the conversation you're having with yourself. So you can't wake up and be like, oh, I'm so tired. It's so comfortable. You know, you can't do that. You have to wake up and know, no, it's time to win the day, win the alarm. So I think it's that conversation you have. Win the workout.
Yeah.
I love what you said about it. I mean, you're literally speaking my language because I think people get so caught up into they have to do some, you know, High Rocks gladiator workout every day. And no, it literally can be going for a walk. It can be jumping out of bed and doing push-ups. But do something. Do something. And at least say that I did something. So I love that. Win the meal. that's the toughest one for people, you know, other than probably waking up.
Yeah.
But win the meal is so hard for people to make the right decisions. But I think, and I don't know your program off the bat, but I think that when you deal in macros and moderation rather than elimination, I think you win more than you lose.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? You know, because we're not saying you can't have pizza and pancakes or whatever.
No.
We're actually saying you can, but just don't eat like a whole box at one time. So people need to dive into your program on that, because I can already tell that you've got some really good information there.
Ego.
Win the ego. Have you read Ego is the Enemy?
Yep, I have. All right. Around holiday.
So that book is required reading for my staff. And then I've been told by like 2 or 3 mentors, you should read that every year. So I love that one too. It's just, it's because it's a battle, you know, every day. But I will say this, like, I think that there's also this narrative that ego is not confidence. And I think that you still need to be confident in your decisions, but instead of like yes, be humble, but don't don't play small is what I'm trying to say.
For sure.
Like, don't play small.
For sure.
Like, still be confident. And it is not listening to your ego sometimes that is making you more confident, you know, and that you're able to do it. And what's the last one?
It sums it up. Win the best decision to be my best version.
So then if you're making all these decisions,
5 is easy.
yeah, you're an example of discipline. And then when you walked in the gym today, I mean, trust me, everybody's like, man, who is this dude? Like, you know, as soon as I saw you, I was like, damn, like, you know, and that's how everyone should walk in a room. You should walk in a room and people should notice. But to me, the way you look is the outward appearance of discipline. It's reflection of discipline. Like, because you're doing all these things, and now you're showcasing the results, you know?
For sure. So, I mean, I and what you said is what I try to tell all my clients and everybody. You can do it.
Everybody
you can do it. And I have real estate agents in my coaching program. I have all types of people, and I'm like, I want you to walk into sell a house, and I want them to be like, yo, this is what, like, control it, because you feel calm. Not, I don't know what type this table is. Like, no, this is marble right here. People feel that energy because you're confident in who you are, but you have to do the work. We all have to do the work within to keep the confidence. If I start doing the stagnation cycle, or I'm satisfied and I become standstill, now I lose that. Now I come on here and I can't give the people what the energy that they need, because I haven't been doing the things that I've been doing. I'm not perfect. There are times where I fall off my macros because I'm traveling, I'm doing stuff like that, and I lose. I'm like, man, like I'm not clicking the way I want to click, because I'm not doing the things that I need to be preaching about, you know? And so I think a lot of times that people look at this stuff as like, well, I'm not in the fitness industry. It's like, you're missing the whole point, man. I'm trying to help you create the person that I know you want to be. I know if we all close our eyes right now and envision ourselves, nobody envisions themselves as some out of shape person. You don't. You don't. You like, oh, this is what I want to look like. So why are we not doing it?
Yeah.
Why? Because this is work required, like you said.
It's hard. It's
hard. Yeah, you know. So
we're the official premium water of the Miami Heat and the Kaseya Center, and you'll like this story. I used to train Mario Chalmers with Irv, and I used to train Joe Johnson, and then I used to train Scott Stapp, the former lead singer of Creed, and we would sit behind the Heat bench during the Shaq and Wade's era. And then I met Steve Stowe, and then my Michael McCullough, and they all started joining my gyms, and so I had probably 18 Heat staff at all the different gyms. And so when I decided to do my own water, one of the things that I wanted to do is I wanted to play in the premium space. So I wanted to disrupt Fiji, Aquapana, Saratoga, Pellegrino. I really wanted to kick them in the ass, because if you really think about it, when's the last time a cool brand has attempted to disrupt that industry? You go to a restaurant, it's Aquapana. You know, it's kind of always been there because they're 100-year brands. So I was like, okay, I think we could really do something. So I, through a bunch of different people kind of connecting the dots, I was able to get a meeting, right, with the Heat. So they came in. We did not have a water. We did not have a can. We did not have a product. We had a cardboard cutout of a presentation of what we were going to do.
They can't even taste it.
Yeah, they can't taste it. They can't do it. And we just pitched the idea, the concept of it. And remind you, like, we're trying to do this and replace Fiji and Perrier in the arena. And as a startup. And so they loved it. They loved everything. But then they were like, okay, well, let us know when you have a product. So about 3 months later, we had the product, we had the can, and we presented it to them. They loved it. Then we had to pass all the stuff with Levy, the concessionaire. So they, third party tested us. They brought it around the arena. They tested it out and they passed. And then we did a 5-year deal with them. And it's the first year was amazing. And this year I think it's going to be even better. And it's been a really cool relationship. And in it, that's our influencer. So like, instead of like signing a celebrity or having like some Instagram stuff, the Heat is our kind of celebrity. So they kind of immediately gave us street cred, in this world of CPG. So yeah.
My question to you is that like I don't know, like, you're humble in background, but like, is it like weird? Is it like crazy to see this come into, like, it's happening? Like, yo, this is the Heat, or is it kind of just like you envisioned it? Like, take me through that. Like,
yeah, it's interesting because you're not the first person to ask me that, and it's almost I'll get emotional. It kind of sucks in a way because to your point, like the pit bull was out in front of the arena, like big, huge. And, last year, and it was at the Drake concert, and everybody's sending me pictures and I saw it. And like, I thought that I would have this like, like, oh, I'm the best in the world. Like this, like hot, like amazing, like I'm glowing moment. And I didn't. I didn't. And then I go to the Heat games and I see everybody drinking my water and the logo, and I see my signage, and I thought that I would have this like crazy feeling like I'm the man, and like, and I didn't, and that's not what like kind of drives me up. It's obvious that it doesn't. What does is the one-on-one, like random person that comes up and's like, man, I love your brand. Man, I live no days off because of you. Or that DM from a stranger that's like, you changed my life. I just did a capital raise, having people give us money that's never met me, that's in this space, that really believes in this, that like is special, but the glamour and the glitz and stuff like that, like, I don't know. It's weird. I've never gotten the reaction that I thought I would have for myself. I don't know if that makes sense, but
it makes perfect. Okay, that's why I asked you. It makes perfect sense because from the naked eye, people, it's like, it's cool you did something, but it's like you and I only both understand. That's why I asked you, because it's like, yeah, it's crazy, but it's like when you're that type of person, for you to have that signage, you have to think a certain way. You have to be a certain way. You can't be a satisfied person or you'll never get there.
Right.
That's the point. So a lot of people, they get to certain places because they're people who don't accept satisfaction, so they never really get to enjoy it, which, like I said, it's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
But that's how you get there.
It's also too, like, so when you have, I've said this before, and I'll probably, repeat it constantly because it's really truly how I believe, is that, and I told my brother this, is that I have the vision of where I'm going. Like, I've already seen it. Like, and I haven't gotten there yet. So like, I have this, and I don't even share all the vision with everybody because sometimes you want to just go do it. So when you have this vision that you have for your life and you haven't arrived yet, then why are you celebrating early? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not there yet. So I'm still, and I am getting better at least being grateful and appreciative, and also celebrating the people around me that are helping me. I think that's important. But I still am truly hard on myself, and I'm still like, I did say, and I want to take you over there when you have time, when we finish it, the new headquarters. The new headquarters is something that I'm pretty proud of, because it's like You're walking around, you're like, whoa, like it's
crazy.
It's crazy. But I will say, I don't see myself stopping, you know what I mean? It's not like I'm gonna walk in there and I think what it is gonna do, and I can already feel it, is that it's gonna create a new energy, a new drive in me that is pretty cool to have at 47 years old, when you thought your crazy 27-year-old self had a lot of drive. Like now I feel myself having a new drive, a new energy to change lives. And ultimately, why I did No Days Off and why I believe in it so much is that, you ever seen the movie Pay It Forward? Yeah, so that movie like really resonated with me. Like really, like I watched it and I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to impact the world. Like I want that kind of like, so, and I don't want the applause for it. I just want a moment to happen where I can sit back and go, I did that. But not like everybody going, he did that, but like it just does it. And so No Days Off, I truly believe, can be something that people can apply to their lives. And anywhere, whether you're 5 years old or 80 years old, you can apply this to your life and you can become a better version of yourself every single day. And it never stops. And then by doing that, you're helping everybody around you, so.
Everybody, this is why reinvention is a requirement. This is why.
Yeah.
This is why. So what you're speaking on is why I believe that, because let's say the one gym was your goal, you would became stagnant, you would became standstill, and you would have suffered from it. Deep down inside, if you're that person, you would have suffered like, I should have did 2, 3, 4, 5.
And that's why too, you you lose relationships, you lose people that started with you. You lose people that tried to tell you that, like, bro, we have a successful gym. Like, why do you want another one? Why like, oh, this place is amazing. Why do you want to open up this? And so it's also, it's a lonely like world, because again, when like this isn't, the story isn't over yet. Like I still got stuff to write. Like, we're only in chapter 3, and so that's a tough part too, because not everybody's on the train with you. Like a lot of people get dropped off on the way, and it's sad sometimes, like when you look at the people you started with and they're not there anymore, and you tried your best to bring them on the journey, but they just didn't get it, and
see the vision.
They didn't see it. So but the cool thing is you get new people and they see it, and then you start to get these new relationships. And I'm a people person, so I love meeting new people, and then they we just hired these 2 20-something-year-old girls, and I love the conversations I'm having, because it's like the youth, and they're like telling me about TikTok and like what we could do with that, and I'm like, can't even open TikTok and barely can pull up my phone. So so that's so really fun and cool. So what you have this platform, you're constantly speaking to people, and I know that's like dear to you, and you want to help people. You have hopefully this thing goes viral, and is there anything that you just want to leave with people? Like, give us your kind of last words today.
Our last words, it kind of sums up everything we talked about, but the reason I'm so passionate about it, because I've reached a dream in my life that is a dream in a lot of people's lives. This is not like I picked a dream that, anybody could just wake up and do. Like, I travel the world with an NBA All-Star. Like, that's what a lot of people want to do. And I challenge people to understand that your biggest dream, it's not going to do it for you. It's not, because if it's just about you or about one other person, like, what fulfills people at the end of the day is truly giving back to other people and allowing to see them grow. And I think that a lot of people are shooting for something that, okay, shoot for it. I want you to, reach your dreams. But if you don't think reinvention is a real thing, if you don't believe in that, you're gonna be like how I was. And I'm trying to help people, not feel what I felt, not that emptiness, not that, I did all this and this is it, just like you kind of, you spoke about. It's just like, yeah, this is cool, but like, because it has to be a bigger impact, it has to be a bigger purpose, and that's what I'm all about, man. And I'm like, the money ain't gonna do it, the planes ain't gonna do it. I've sseen it. I've seen it. I've seen it all. It's not gonna do it. It's not, and it's just like, I'm not saying I don't want it. I would not want one. Yeah, make my traveling a lot easier. I don't have to go to Delta. I don't have to check my bag. When I go to PJ, just hop on a plane. I guess it makes my life easier. But so I have a coach, and his name's Michael Burt. And let me tell you, he has his own plane. And he says, you know what my plane does for me? Like, everybody looks at these jets. My plane get me to my family every night. My plane saves me times. That's how
freedom.
I think.
It's freedom.
It's freedom. That's how I think. It's how are you looking at your situations? Like, I'm so happy I became an NBA trainer because it put me on a platform where now I can help the world. But if you just get somewhere and you think you're about to be at the mountaintop all by yourself, it's going to be a miserable mountaintop. You up there shaking your pom-poms because everybody else is down there. And it's like, you got to bring some people with you, so they can see. So that's what that's my message, man. Like, reinvention is a requirement. You're either going to be in the cycle of reinvention or you're going to try to escape the cycle of stagnation. You're in one or the other. I don't care. I'll speak on that till I'm blue in the face. You are either in a cycle of reinvention or you're in a cycle of stagnation. You have to pick. The cycle of reinvention doesn't mean your body has to change dramatically. It could be reading a book. Reading a book is reinventing yourself. You're learning something. It could be, hey, I'm picking up a new habit. That is reinventing yourself. Stagnation is I'm doing the same thing every single day and I'm expecting for something to change, and nothing's going to change until you shake something up. My man.
That was awesome.
Nah, you guys crushed it, man.
Yeah.